We have, look at this, cyclists all around us, cars, people. This is as complicated as it gets, folks. This is a really great test for self-driving down here today. Now, if somebody was behind me, I am 100% certain they would have no idea that my car is driving itself. Got an exciting drive for you guys. I'm heading into the city of Chicago here for another test, this time with the long-awaited 12.5.1.5 for hardware 3. I have an Intel processor. This is a 2019 Model 3. I've been waiting for this version for a long time, but not nearly as much as all of you that are on 12.3.6, and especially those in Europe. My heart goes out to you guys. I'm with you, man. I really hope you get this soon, some version of full self-driving over there. We're putting it through the ultimate stress test. Without going on and on about what's gonna happen, let's turn it on and head into the city. I'm gonna pull out onto this road here. There we go, it's enabled. Turning left here. We are gonna catch the tail end of rush hour traffic. I did a live stream on X last night. That went fairly well. There wasn't any traffic. It wasn't too challenging. It wasn't as smooth as I thought it would be. There were a couple issues. It had phantom braking coming out onto the main road. That surprised me. It also didn't slow down when it went over some railroad tracks. And it struggled with parking in parking spaces that were kind of slanted. But that's normal. That has never been a possibility with the auto park features. The other thing that was surprising to me was when I first installed it, the visualizations weren't showing up. I actually couldn't turn it on at all, even though full self-driving was turned on. That option was selected, I should clarify. What I had to do was a DAS reset inside of service mode. That cleared everything out and I was able to go on my way. If you have that issue, all you need to do is allow your car to go into a deep sleep, or you can go into the service menu and do that DAS reset. It's under the camera or the camera calibration menu, I believe. So we've got a little trek to get into the city. I'm taking it down to Lower Wacker Drive. I'm taking it over to the Chicago Theater, Nike Chicago store. I'm taking it over to the Trump Tower, and then I'm going to finish it out at the Willis Tower, which is the Sears Tower. Should be an exciting drive. In 1.4 miles, we're going to be getting all the way over to get onto Wacker Drive. We're heading to the Fairmont Chicago Hotel, which this route is one that I've driven before. You can see my other videos. The main things that are new with 12.5, if you're coming from 12.3, is the hands-free driving. There is no longer a steering wheel nag. And what that essentially means is you can kick back, relax, and just pay attention to the road. So you can quite literally put your arms up like this and just totally chill the entire drive. Whether you're on the highway or on city streets, you are totally hands-free. Now you do have to keep your eyes looking forward the entire time. And you're going to see up by the blue autopilot icon, which indicates that auto drive is enabled. You're going to see just to the right of there a little green dot that appears. Wait for it. What that means is that the driver attentiveness is active, and you're going to see a message pop up saying it has now been activated. Attention monitoring active. So there it is. That's going to be new for all of you guys, and that means it's watching your eyes the whole time, which is good. You don't want people abusing this. It's a really great safety mechanism, and it works really, really well. You want to stay left here. Good. Stayed left. Now, lower Wacker drive. Good. It says 300 feet lower Wacker drive. This is where we want to go. Left. In the past, sometimes it would go to the right by mistake. Okay, good. Left turn signal went on. That means it's going left. Perfect. Now, on 12.3.6, my car almost hit a barrier down here. So we're going to see if it can avoid that today successfully. And it looks like we don't have heavy traffic. The last time I tested this down here, we had a lot of traffic. And it was bumper to bumper. There must have been an event going on or something, because I wasn't able to cruise through here like we are now. And to be honest with you, I've never had the car position me in this left lane like this. There's a turn up here where there's a light. You can see it's kind of strange with the lights. Now it's turning yellow. Let's see if it recognizes it. Very good. Look at that. Perfect. Slowed down really nicely there. Now it can go a little bit further forward to stop. Okay, good. It's correcting itself and adjusting. But right up here, you can see that light just turned red. When I was in the right lane every other drive, it thought that that applied to me and it would slow down. But it wouldn't stop. It would just slow down a little bit. And it was very amazing to me that it knew to ignore that. I don't know if it took signals from the other cars around, but that light is slanted just a little bit to the right. And we just flew right past it this time. So coming up here is this barrier. Let's see what happens. On version 12.4, my car ended up finding its way down to sub-lower Wacker drive and disappeared into the wilderness. It was really crazy. Now, this is sub-lower Wacker. Nobody goes down here, guys. This is where all the rats and all the monsters and the trolls, they hang out down here. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen today. There's that barrier. Now, I was in the right lane and it couldn't make up its mind, and it almost hit it. But as I mentioned before, we're in this far left lane, so I'm not surprised that it didn't have any issues there. And here again, we're getting the poor GPS location accuracy. This is par for the course down here. Look at that move. Did you just see that? That was really incredible. I love that. It made a quick decision to go around that car, who I wouldn't doubt was using their cell phone. They were probably distracted, but that was beautiful how it went around that car there. That's exactly what I would have done, to be honest with you. But this poor GPS location accuracy has a lot to do with kind of its tendency to get lost down here, I'll be honest with you. The map data doesn't have the levels built into it, so you got to keep in mind, Tesla's using, now here's another barrier, let's see if it goes left or right. Ooh, so that car went to the right and it stayed to the left. That is great. That is absolutely great, because this is where we need to go. Now look at that car cutting in front of us. Smooth. It just very, very subtly slowed down for them. That felt great right there. Here we go, turning right. Beautiful. This is exactly what we need to do. Now, this is a tricky part with this stop sign here. It needs to go forward and then left through this really narrow pathway. And previously, left turn signal's on. I like it. That's great. Previously, it went straight here. It did not take the left turn. Let's see what happens. I have had it take the left turn. It's not completely repetitive, or it's not repeatable. Okay, our turn here, stopping, waiting for that other car, and proceeding forward. Beautiful. That's exactly what I would have done. Let's see what it does. Yes, this is where it needs to be. Going up. Yes, that is great. Oh, I'm very happy with that. This is exactly what we want. So we have with AI4, we have 16 gigabytes of RAM versus 8 gigabytes of RAM with AI3. When it comes to hard disk space, that's where you really have the big differences. With AI3 or hardware 3, you have 64 gigabytes. With AI4, you have 256 gigabytes. And because it's so much larger, they cut down on the infotainment systems. The infotainment processor, if you have a Ryzen, for example, I have an Intel in my car, but the specs there have been downgraded for AI4 versus AI3, which that's fine. I mean, no one needs a super powerful infotainment system when its primary job is to execute this robotaxi business and this full self-driving. Okay, coming forward, taxi on the left, waiting for them to go. Okay, perfect. Coming out. Oh, beautiful. That's exactly how I would have done it. Nicely executed. And right here, we just passed the hotel. So what I'm going to do is come inside of here. I'm going to edit trip. I'm going to delete that because we've just passed that destination. Now it would probably try to circle around and do some crazy stuff, but we don't need to experiment here today. We're just going to jump from one location to the next. So now headed up to Nike Chicago. Coming up right behind this taxi, felt really good. No turn on red, some subtle, not subtle, but very abrupt braking. We have a green arrow, our turn to go. It did not hesitate, going around that barrier really nicely. It did hesitate and then corrected itself. It felt really good, very natural coming through here. Now, if somebody was behind me, I am 100% certain they would have no idea that my car is driving itself. 100% certain. This is perfect. It hasn't made any mistakes. Turn signals have been appropriate. Its stopping has been appropriate. This is a very fun intersection. This is Michigan Avenue. We always have a lot of foot traffic. And then what will happen is when it turns green, we have the opportunity to go, but you have people coming. And it's always done so phenomenally well here. This is an area where self-driving really shines. Now take a look at this. Nobody is behind me. If they were, they'd be really kind of confused, I think, as to why I'm not all the way forward. I'm not sure if it's leaving this path for the cars on the side road here. Maybe that's the case. But it really could have gone up further there. Not sure why it stayed so far back. But this is interesting. We have a green arrow, so it is our turn to go. Let's see if it's going to go. Okay, great. Look at that. Moves right through the intersection. Really nicely done. It is 6:20 p.m. on a Friday evening here in Chicago on Michigan Avenue. So far, 0 interventions and 0 disengagements. I will be tracking them as we go here. Fingers crossed for a perfect drive here on 12.5 with hardware 3. Coming down here, I was a bit nervous to test this out. But with 12.5, it makes you feel a lot more confident. You feel like it knows what it's doing a little bit more. So that makes you feel a little bit more at ease. I'm not as stressed out as I would have been before. Feeling very good about this drive here so far. Once we get up to the Nike store, we're going to reroute to head over to the Trump International Tower. This lane is almost running out here. It's kind of an awkward thing. Okay, now right turn signal is going on to get over. There's a taxi right behind, and it's just accelerating forward, almost like it's going to find a gap in front of that taxi. Let's see what it does. Wow! Did you see that? That gap was really tight, and it went for it. That was really, really awesome to see. And it's doing that on purpose because we have to get over to the right. Our final destination is on the right coming up. We've got a couple blocks before we get there, but it's proactively planning it out. We have, look at this, cyclists all around us, cars, people. This is as complicated as it gets, folks. This is a really great test for self-driving down here today. I have not touched the wheel, not even once. All right, this is right where I'm going to remove that destination. Okay, Trump International Tower. So it's going to try to reroute here and go to the right here. This is perfect. This is a one-way. And through here. Beautiful. Really well done there, and we're going to come back out onto Michigan Avenue. Somebody commented on one of my videos that I sound like Mr. Rogers. Okay, so I have to admit, I have 3 little girls, so I don't use any cuss words. I'm pretty prim and proper, I'd say, with my language. So that's probably part of the reason. I'm also pretty clear in how I speak. I think Fred Rogers was from Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh or something like that. So kind of Midwest. But I grew up in Michigan, so I have look at this with this truck here on the right. Wow. Nicely done. Look at all these people now crossing, coming forward. Okay, we got a cyclist. Okay, they went on the sidewalk, waiting for these people very appropriately. Still a green light. Going forward. Nice. Wow. Nicely done. Got the sun shining right into my eyes here. And again, we're leaving quite a gap. Okay, it's closing the gap now. I think it sees some... I kind of like that, how it's reserving some space just in case somebody wants to do something in front of me. I kind of like that. Look at that. It gets all the way over. Really nice. I mean, that's what it needed to do. But if I was driving manually, I probably would have done that too. I just wasn't thinking. That's the amazing thing about using this software is you really don't have to think so much about where it's going or what it's doing. It just does it. Oh, look at that. That is so great. Oh, it's super, and it changing lanes immediately. Look at that. So this is something that is really hard to capture unless you're actually behind the wheel and the car's driving. Left turn signal went on. Roll down my window just so we can get a little bit of the Chicago ambiance here. You can kind of hear the surround sound here of the city. It's a beautiful night tonight. Really nice weather. Slowing down here. And left turn signal is on. I'm not sure why it's not moving into that other lane. It's wide open. There's nobody behind us. Now the right turn signal goes on. That's probably why. Because up here past the river, we're going to be turning right.
Healthy, independent people helping other people. Make some noise for that.
Now look at this. This Lincoln in front of us might create a little bit of a blockage. Okay, perfect. They got out of the way, and we continued to go straight forward there. And now this is where we're going to be turning right. So going back to version 12.4, we had a situation where it started to go right, but then it kept going straight. Now watch what happens. When the light turns green, we go forward. Look at the path. It's like it's not even indicating it needs to go right. So
really bizarre. I don't understand why it did that. So I disengaged the second disengagement, and I do report that.
Yes, that makes me so happy, you guys. That is incredible. Did you just see what that did? Oh, that gives me goosebumps. Now this is not right. It's probably going to realize pretty quickly we're not supposed to be over here. Get out. There's nobody behind us. I'm going to let it. Let's see what it does here. It's got to figure out it needs to go around here. So we can't go right here. So it's never done this before. I'm going to say right now, this is definitely a first. It kind of has gotten stuck here. This is really interesting. You can see we're supposed to turn right at that green light up ahead. And it is somehow stuck. Now this is a solid white line. We have some cars coming. Let's see if they kind of give my car a clue. Trying not to intervene here. I'd love to have a perfect drive. And surprisingly, there's not a lot of traffic on this road. So I'm really hopeful that it's going to sort itself out here. Come on, you got this. Come on. I know you can solve this. Come on, this is not that difficult. The right turn signal is on. It's almost like we're just hanging out here. It probably thinks that this is good enough to get to the final destination, but it's over the river still yet. Okay, the wheel's moving. It moved a little bit. Let's see what happens. I will say this is definitely a first. Never done this before. How long should I wait, guys? That's the real question. I'm actually pretty calm right now. You know, sometimes when I'm down here, like I said, I'm pretty stressed out, but pretty calm. Maybe it's because it's a Friday. So if you can imagine, if this was a robotaxi and you had to get to the Trump Tower and you were checking in your hotel and it just stopped right here, you basically have to get out of the car because it's essentially, I don't want to say screwed up, but it's made a mistake. I mean, that's the same, right, technically, but this is not our final destination here. I'm hoping that some of these cars will give it a clue. Now if I zoom in, you can see the tentacle. It's kind of creeping over to the left every so often, but it's so close to the curb, I feel, that it doesn't know what to do. So the turn signal is on. What happens, this is going to be an intervention, but what happens if I put the left turn signal on? Oh, there it just was creeping a little bit. I mean, it really wants to go. It's trying to go now. The accelerator just went on. I feel like it's this close. Now, if you were sitting in the back seat, would you have this much patience? Okay, now it's creeping. Okay, finally it decided to go. Yes, no intervention so far. I don't know what that was all about. Quite frankly, that was kind of funny. Oh my. So, unless people were in a big rush, I feel like passengers would be fascinated to see what it would do, just like I was, and they probably wouldn't bail. They'd probably sit through it just to see what happened. They'd probably be having the laugh of their lives. But it did figure it out. So. Okay, when we come through here, okay, green light. Let's see what these people. Okay, slowing down. Nobody behind us, thankfully. Well, this is the right thing to do anyway. I always worry about other people, though. You have to be on the lookout because in Chicago you have to be as equally of a defensive driver as you are an offensive driver. And coming through here, okay, the wheel just turned there a little bit and moving forward. Great. Nicely done there. And then right up here is the Trump Tower. So it's going to slow down, and right in here usually is where I delete this waypoint. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We're at a traffic light here. Perfect opportunity. Ooh, just ran that light. That's not good. Okay, it says navigation complete. Get that out of there. I mean, that's like a light for the hotel. I don't know. I mean, technically I broke the law there, but okay, coming forward, and then this is perfect. We're going to head down Grand Avenue and then head all the way to the Michigan Theater. That's our next destination here. And this area up here is what I'm really looking forward to, is turning left. And before we get there, let me just do the hat test one more time. I'm going to put the brim of my hat down to cover my eyes just to demonstrate to all of you. Okay, it just says apply slight turning force to the steering wheel, which I'm going to do. There we go. Attention monitoring unavailable. View of the driver obscured by hat. So, and that's the same with sunglasses. A lot of people were thinking that you could wear sunglasses now with this version, and that's not true. It's coming with a future version. This is what's most fascinating here, this intersection. What it needs to do is, as soon as it turns green now, it needs to press forward and go into the middle of the intersection, because if it does not, the person behind me gets extremely impatient, and I've been honked at many times testing self-driving down here in this exact location. Hey guys, I am in the middle of editing this monstrosity of a video, and I am having a great time. I hope you are enjoying watching it. If you do enjoy this content, please like and subscribe, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I have a website where I provide insider tips and early access to videos coming up in the future. So, and I've reported this many times and talked about it way too many times to count. This is a very challenging intersection because you need to be extremely assertive to get through here. Then you have passengers crossing on the left. So you press into the intersection, you need to find a gap with the traffic coming toward us, and at the same time find a gap with the pedestrians. So let's see what happens here. I'm willing to push it to the limit. Sometimes I do that a little bit too much. Now it's green. Great, it's going forward. That is perfect. That's exactly what it needs to do. It was not doing that on 12.3. Okay, and that car is pulling over. This is the time to go. Okay, we're waiting for this car. This is where I need to be assertive. Now, I probably saw that pedestrian. Look at that. Nice. Beautiful. I would have, if I was driving, I would have pressed forward a little bit more, but sometimes I overthink these things. And that is the biggest, I would say, challenge with self-driving, is most people who are using this software will disagree with its decisions because they want to drive the way they want to drive. They don't want to allow the car to just take over completely. So I think you need to be flexible and willing and open-minded to let the car do some things that you probably normally wouldn't do. Now, if it's going to do something that's, basically, if it's going to do something that's upsetting or annoying another or confusing another driver, that's when you need to take over. But so far, I haven't had any of those that have really stood out. Now look at this. This is another very challenging left turn. Waiting for the gap with the pedestrians. Yes, that was great. This is going down in the record books, guys. It's never done this well before, ever. Beautiful, coming forward here. I have not had to do a single thing here. This is absolutely amazing. So it hasn't been perfect because it went through that red light. I, as a human, probably would have done the same, to be honest with you. And I've been in that area before where I accidentally started going forward and then remembered there was a light. The position of that traffic light is awkward. So although that was the wrong thing to do, I'm not going to really... People break the laws all the time. So this, hands down, I would trust this software over a human driver. Look at this. It has to get over. The car was right behind me. It got around that bus. That was so nice. Okay, and we have the Chicago Theater right up here on our left. And we're obviously not going to be stopping there. So let's go ahead and get ready to delete that. We'll have to do it in quick succession here to head over to the Sears Tower. Okay, it's green. I don't know why it's hesitating here. Not bad though. Thankfully nobody behind us there. You know, let's see what happens with these people. Waiting for them. And it's a red, don't know what it's going to do here. These people are going around me on the back. So technically I can go. Now we have some cars on the left and a bus coming. And it's sticking out. The bus is honking at me. And the bus is kind of wondering, you know, what's going on. Oh, this is a bus stop right here. Maybe. CTA buses only. Okay, now the car is starting to go. Now this is where I might have to do something. Okay, good. It's a little bit unnatural there. It stuck out. I'm going to report that. That's one thing I'm going to have to report. That bus driver gave me a look. They were unhappy with the positioning of my car, and it kept creeping. It should have made up its mind quickly and gone. And they're a perfect example of a yellow light transitioning, going through that intersection beautifully, and getting all the way over to the left, because 1 block from here we're going to be turning left. This has been a nag-free, touchless drive, both on the wheel and down below with the pedals. I am absolutely amazed that I have not had to step on the accelerator. Usually it's the accelerator I'm pressing on to avoid someone rear-ending me, but I've not had to do that once today. Nice hesitation with those pedestrians. It looked like it was going to go and then waited. That was perfect. It was analyzing how fast they were walking. It did the right thing there. Beautiful. This is where our ride ends, taking over to pull over and take off all of my video gear. That it concludes our trip here. So I'm going to give you guys a quick summary of what we just witnessed. We just witnessed a zero intervention, zero disengagement drive for a good 40 minutes in downtown Chicago just after rush hour on a Friday. That is unheard of. It's never done that before. Will it do it again? I'm going to have to test and see. I'm willing to bet that it would. That felt very comfortable, very natural. Coming into the city, the highway was handled really nicely. We then went down to Lower Wacker Drive, and it avoided the barriers perfectly. It stopped really nicely at that light, It was a little bit further back than I wanted it to be, but then it crept forward. No awkward movements or maneuvers down in the tunnels, even when we lost GPS connectivity. It then went up that bridge, very difficult maneuver to get out of Lower Wacker Drive, back up onto the main level. And then we had a ton of pedestrians. It turned right, it found a gap with all those pedestrians perfectly. It positioned itself really brilliantly in the lanes, and then continued to go forward, going north on Michigan Avenue all the way to the Nike store. And then we yet again found a gap with pedestrians beautifully on a one-way street, and had an amazing situation with a truck where it went around that truck. There were a lot of people walking around. Someone easily could have come in front of my car, but I was very comfortable. I felt that the car was in control and that it was very safe in that moment. And yet again, we cut across with all the pedestrians, and then we headed south. That's when I rolled down my window. I was hoping we might have someone shout out, "Hey, GoPro!" Or we did have one guy wave and shout out, "Hey!" I have in the past had someone comment, "Is that a self-driving car?" We didn't have any of that, but then we had one situation where it pulled over onto the side and thought we were at the tower. Even though it didn't say navigation complete, it kind of got stuck there. But I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, waited for it. It then got out of that section and continued on to the Trump Tower. Then we came up to that red light. For some reason, it passed right through the red light after stopping, which was bizarre to me, and I did report that. We proceeded forward, and we came up to the intersection that I've had many, many issues in before, where it needs to go into the middle of the intersection when the light turns green before it would wait further back, and it did not do that. It pressed forward, it waited for the gap with the traffic and the pedestrians, and executed really nicely. If someone, the person behind me, I'm 100% certain they did not know my car was driving itself. And then we had another brilliant left turn with a lot of pedestrians crossing the street. We then crossed by the Chicago Theater, and then we had that one situation that really disappointed me, probably more than the other situations, with jutting out too far with that bus kind of getting irritated. That was a bus lane. They were wanting to get all the way over to the right, and my car was in the way. And really, probably another person would have intervened there. But I knew that the bus could go around me, and I wasn't sticking out that much. So I waited, and then eventually it kept creeping and made a decision and went. That's the one situation where I wish it would have been a little bit more assertive. But the assertive to careful ratio has been finely tuned down in cities like this now. I feel like it's a nice balance here, and I can't wait to get down here to test it again. I thought overall it did very, very well. Out of a score of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best performance, I would give that a 9. Surprisingly, that did very, very well. Now, it's super easy to be critical when you're behind the wheel. As a passenger, it probably also would have been a 9. Now, I'm used to it, and I've seen how it's progressed over time, so I'm happy to give it a 9 here, even though it wasn't perfect. And that's why it's not a 10. But wow, I am blown away with how it performed. I'm very happy with that drive. The first zero intervention, zero disengagement drive downtown Chicago. Stay tuned for my next drive. Hope to get down here as soon as possible. I've got a very busy week at work next week. Doubtful I'll be able to get down here again, although I'll try my best. But stay tuned for more videos. I have an exciting one coming up where I'm going to test parking in a driveway. Some people have reported that their cars park themselves in their driveways. I've had that happen at my friend's driveway, but only once. And I'm wondering if I might be able to stage the driveway in some way to see if I can make it repeatable so it continually parks. Because some people have said that it parks every time in their driveway. So I have 2 friends that have loaned me their driveways, so I'll be testing that out coming up soon as well. Obstacle detection, that's on the list, and anything else you guys would like to see, I'm at your service as always, and happy to be filming and documenting this. So thank you so much for your support. If you enjoy my content, consider supporting me on Patreon, and also hit the like button, subscribe. It goes a long way. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.